You looking for a good, easy way to make some Madden coins? Boy, well, sucks for you because we don't do that on this channel. However, I do give you some really good tips on how to get better at this game. Today, we are continuing the series of all the tips and tricks and secrets of man coverage. Today, I'm going to be showing you what happens when you press a line inside, over the top, outside, inside, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about all that good stuff. Let's get into the video. Okay, first things first, I want to show you guys that I tried to make this as even as possible so we can get really good numbers out of this. So what you'll see is all of my corners on the New England Patriots are 99 overall, and all of my receivers on the Tampa Bay Bucks are actually 99 overall as well. So you'll see everyone is pretty much 99 overall on the Bucks, or at least my first three receivers. Okay, so here we are in practice mode, and you see I'm actually the New England Patriots, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our DBs on the field by coming out in dime, and we're going to play man. Now here's the thing to note about man coverage out of certain formations. This is the first tip and secret that I'm going to tell you. Certain man coverages already have a built-in shade press in them, so like two man is gonna automatically play underneath because you have two men over the top, and that's just how we play man even in college or in the NFL. Because I have two safeties helping me high, I'm going to play underneath that receiver. That way I can cut off those short routes where I don't have help. Now naturally I'm going to play inside on man with a cover two man because I don't have help inside because everyone's locked up, they're five across. So technically in the NFL and college, you're going to play underneath and inside of a receiver for two man. That's where I play. That's where most people are going to play unless you're running some type of like zone drop concept. But naturally cover two man is going to have a underneath inside shade. Now when you run a cover one robber, it's going to be similar, but you're going to have a press technique again, but you're going to be outside because you have help inside. Now what you're going to see is if you look at A, I have a yellow zone there, which should be somebody coming to where that middle linebacker spot is, guarding that hook curl. And so the corners can filter their receivers into that hook curl zone because they should have help on any inside routes or routes crossing the field. Certain types of coverages are already baked into your play. So if I call like a cover two man play, again, that's underneath inside. And if I call a cover one robber, that's going to be outside, and you can make it underneath if you want. Most people are probably going to play over the top and outside on that one. Okay, so it's just up to you to figure out if you're going to take the default coverage or if you're going to shift them or change them whenever you make the call. Now on a blitz, you're going to get pretty much the same thing. Most people are going to play over the top on blitzes because you don't have any help over the top. So you're going to play over the top and inside of the receiver because you don't want to give those quick throws. That's just naturally what we do whenever we play man coverage. As a cornerback, you're going to make sure that you want to be able to take away the quick throws. So you play inside, you want to play over the top so you don't get beat over the top, because if you get beat, it's bombs over Baghdad. It's a wrap. So now that you know the difference between like a cover two man, a cover one robber, and then a blitz cover scheme, let's go ahead and talk about man coverage. So first things first, let's talk about those adjustments and those different type of coverage adjustments that you can make on your DBs. Again, we already know we're in cover two man, so our corners are going to play underneath and inside, and they're going to give up pretty much those deep routes because they have help. Now what you can do is if you press Y or triangle on your PlayStation controller, you'll see it's going to bring up this coverage adjustment menu. Now when I come up to this menu, I'm going to make a global adjustment to all of my corners. I can tell all of my corners to play inside, underneath, outside, or over the top by using my right stick, and I can tell all of my DBs to either baseline, press, give cushion, or show blitz with my left stick. So let's just go ahead and show you what give cushion does. You see it backs up all of my defensive backs. Anyone who is labeled as a defensive back on the field, which is going to be these 6 people, back up. Now if I press Y again or triangle and then press down on my left stick, it's going to press them. Quick adjustments can be you press YY or triangle twice. What quick adjustments are going to do is allow you to select that individual person without having to be on them like I'm doing now. So after I press YY twice, you'll see that I have these icons over my DB's head, and it's going to allow me to make individual adjustments to them. So let's go ahead and click our B receiver. So now you see that it's allowing me to change their zone. So I can say man coverage on somebody, deep half, blitz that person, quarter adjustments, soft flats, cloud flats, hard flats, outside thirds. The thing that this does not let you do is change the way that they're playing their actual man coverage. So if you see here, I can actually say, I want you to play outside, inside, underneath, or over the top. When I go to my quick adjustments, is not there, right? You can only do that from the global adjustments. That is the one thing I wish Madden would change. I wish I could go to an individual DB, select him, and then tell him how I want him to play man coverage. And you'll see why later on in this video. So now that we know how to make our adjustments, we now know that we're just going to make global adjustments to everyone. This is going to affect everyone. Everyone's going to play inside, underneath, outside, or over the top, depending on what I select. What you're looking at right now is a spreadsheet that I put together of percentages of DB wins against receivers in their routes. Basically what I did was I lined up 4 of my 99 DBs and 4 of my 99 receivers, and I saw how often the DBs were getting the win based off of the route and the technique that they were playing in Madden. So what you're gonna see is like out routes, corners, slants, posts, fades, drags, crosses are just a few of the routes that I did. If you guys want me to do more, let me know. I can do it from different formations like gun bunch, but this is basically how many times the DB actually won the matchup at the line of scrimmage and force that receiver to either slow down his route or basically change his entire route altogether. So let's break down how the spreadsheet works. Basically on this left-hand side in column A, you're going to see all the different type of routes. Everything from B over to E is going to be the percentage of wins that the DBs won in that particular matchup out of either 8 or 12 attempts. So the first column that you're going to see here in B is I came out, I pressed inside, and then I did another global adjustment of under. The second column in C is going to be I pressed, then I shaded them outside and under, and then D and E is either just inside or just outside. Press works really well on those receivers that are running shorter routes at 5 yards, even 10 yards sometimes, but anything past that, you're going to see press kind of work, kind of not work. That's where it starts to become a little more random. Now, the second thing I want to tell you guys about this sheet that we found going through probably over 100 different route combinations is that there are about 4 to 5 different animations that you're going to get off the line that will automatically tell you whether your receiver is going to win or lose at the line of scrimmage. If you haven't watched this video, I suggest you go watch this video and also all the videos in our man coverage series to be able to figure out how to tell what routes or where your receivers are actually going. So let's actually talk about some of those animations that we saw while we were practicing. Basically, you have the first animations where the receiver wins right off the line of scrimmage. The DB goes to press with the wrong hand. No matter whether you're shading inside or outside, he presses with the wrong hand. The receiver wins off the line of scrimmage, and then your DB is pretty much dusted after that. The second animation that I saw is where you actually get both of your hands, or at least one really good hand on the receiver, but the receiver is going to hit you with a swim move, slightly delaying him, but again, you're going to be beat. The third animation that you see is when the DB actually jams a receiver really well at the line of scrimmage. The receiver gonna dip his shoulder like you'll see in the NFL, and he stacks the corner, gets back on top of him, and he wins. The fourth animation that you'll see is that the DB actually jams him, both hands on him, and then he lets him go out the 5 yards, and he's just riding him shoulder to shoulder. That is what we actually have calculated as a DB win, is when that DB actually gets both hands on the receiver and rides him and makes sure that he doesn't create any separation off the line of scrimmage. That is a DB win for us because it slows down the route. The fourth animation that we saw is when there is actually no press, maybe because it's a short route, and the receiver does a little juke and jive, and he's just kind of at the line of scrimmage like shaking and baking, but the corner never gets faked out and the corner stays on top of the route. That is also considered a win for the DB. And then the third animation that we actually saw was when the DB gets both hands on the receiver and actually drives him down the line of scrimmage, and it's a complete utter destruction of the receiver by the DB. So all in all, I think I said 4 to 5 earlier, you have about 6 animations, 3 that are for the receiver, 3 that are for the actual DB. Although that it seems that with the extra mechanic added in from this video that you guys should go watch, the DB actually loses way more often than the receiver wins, even though they still have the same amount of animations. Now let's get into talking about some of the actual route combinations and wins that we saw in this particular video. When it came to out routes, if you come out and cover 2 man, what we saw, if you shade inside and under, you're gonna win about 18% of the time. If you shade outside and under, you're gonna win about 37% of the time. If you just shade inside with no under, just come out in base, let it do its thing, just shade inside, you win about 68% on out routes. Now, if you just shade outside with nothing else, you're going to win about 50%, with 50% of those coming from receivers that are on the outside. So your number 1 and number 2 receiver, not just slots. We ran outs at different lengths here. We ran them at 10 yards and we ran them at 5 yards. The 5-yard routes tend to get covered the best, with the 10-yard routes being just basically winning all the time. This is going to count for ends as well. Ends are just going to be the inverse of what we've talked about. So this is outs and ends. You're going to see that those shorter end routes get covered way better. Deeper end routes get just destroyed in man coverage, especially if you have the time. At the top of the route, you're just going to lose. At the line of scrimmage, you're at about a 50-50 chance of winning on the press. Corner routes were some of the hardest ones to actually cover. We saw that on the corner routes, we were getting about 33% on inside and under, 16% on outside and under, 50% actually on just inside, and 16% on the outside. But the corner routes were a little tough just because we naturally expect corner routes to win, but I wasn't doing the percentages based off the top of the route. I was just doing them based off of at the line of scrimmage. So even with just the jam, not counting the receiver getting open, I saw that most of the jams were missing on the corner routes when you were playing man press technique without just playing inside. Insides tend to work the best on those corner routes, and those were coming from the slots. Slant routes worked as you expected, shading inside and under like we talked about earlier. Slants are a really shallow route, so we expected to win a lot more often here, especially shading inside and under. We won about 50% of the time on slants. When we were shading inside and under, we didn't win at all off the line of scrimmage, not at all when we shaded outside and under. 66% of the time when we just shaded inside, and again, not at all when we shaded outside. Now, these numbers are starting to tell me a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen the pattern, but we're just gonna keep going. On the post routes, again, I feel like they work similar to the corner routes. A lot of people are going to run post to beat man, especially deep. If you're going to bring your safeties down and run them in purples, posts are a great way to destroy man coverage. At the line of scrimmage, inside and under 33%, outside and under 16%, just inside 33%, outside 8%. Not great percentages there. We saw a lot of the DBs just get demolished off the line of scrimmage or not get a clean jam on the receivers, maybe still be in good position on the route, but just not get a clean jam on them at the line of scrimmage. With the fades actually got jammed the best, surprisingly. I thought a lot of DBs will get beat on the fade because that tends to be the one that I get beat on the most, but it seems like fades actually get jammed a lot better in basically every technique that you can run. For this particular fade, it came from the quarterback, so it wasn't a design fade from the play. It was a hot routed fade. 58% on inside and under, 75% on outside and under, surprisingly. 58% on just inside and 66% on outside. So fades were the routes that got jammed the most. When you make the fade adjustment from the quarterback, I think that's a really big designation to state, because there are some fade routes in here that are tough to jam, but they are designed in the play and not created by the quarterback. On the drag routes got bagged whenever you played inside. It didn't matter whether you was playing inside and under or just inside. The drag routes got bagged, and again, that's because it was a short route. Jams work really well on short routes. Playing outside, 16%, outside and under 16%, outside only 33%. Now the cross routes are coming from the quarterback. Again, it's a really tough play to defend. A lot of people run these with their tight ends. Inside and under 0%. We didn't get one clean jam on a cross route from a DB when they were playing inside and under. Surprisingly, outside and under did come up at 66%. So that might be the move for cross routes. Outside and under had really good jams. It actually even had really good coverage. The DBs stayed on their receivers and they didn't run away from it. It was really good coverage, especially if you have like a one step or a bench press on your actual DBs. Oh, what does all this say? Madden has basically programmatically created a win percentages based off your statistics, whether you're going to win at the line of scrimmage or not. There is no one right way to shade on your routes. Every route and every technique that the DB can play has a different set, I would say, random variables, whether it's going to be true or false based off a set of parameters that the DB is either going to win or not win. This is how it should be. I'm not upset at this, because you can't just play inside technique and think you're going to beat everything. You can't just play outside technique and think you're going to beat everything. You have to play a combination and understand what your opponent is going to run and then play the proper technique for that. and understand that you need to use the stuff that has a higher percentage of beating the technique that you're running. So if you're playing outside, then you need to be ready for the inside routes. And if you're playing inside, be ready for the inside routes. So when I first came into this, I actually thought it was going to be the other way. I thought inside and underneath was going to bag everything. Let me know down in the comments, did you guys think this was helpful? Should we do this again for gun bunch and figure out what techniques work best against gun bunch? Do you think it was just the formation I was running? I'm more than happy to do the same thing in different formations, different techniques, different teams, different heights, different speeds, all that stuff. Let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see in the future. As always, it's been your boy DJ Chef. It's been love. It's always love. I'm out here. Peace.